I'm Casey Nifong. I'm the founder of Mountain Laurel Digital. My background is primarily in search engine optimization, specifically focused on organic search. And I've been doing technical SEO for a little over 10 years, all in the agency space. I've worked for four other agencies, and then I started this one in 2017, and we're about to be 6 years old. Sure. So, in my experience with working with builders, a lot of it goes back to, what makes them different as a builder, and how they approach their building product and their supply chain, all of the different technical pieces involved in their job. So, with optimization for search, I really work with the business owner or the marketing team on the building company side to better understand what makes them different and then optimize for those questions. Because organic search is a lot around context and answering the questions that those ideal customers are asking. And so a lot of it has to do with those upfront stakeholder conversations and research to do the optimizations for those specific targeting strategies. Yeah, so we work a lot with Clayton Homes, and they do manufactured homes. And with their SEO, we did a lot of research around kind of the search terms that people were searching. And one of the big terms that we were finding that people were looking for was the difference between manufactured home, like what makes it a manufactured home. And then why it's a good fit for certain buyers. And so what we did was we optimized content for something called a featured snippet, and help them kind of keep that ranking. And featured snippets are really important for builders, especially because it's a really competitive space. And featured snippets means that it gets isolated to the top of the search results because essentially Google's algorithm has established that particular link is the best resource. So similar to like a Wikipedia link, but essentially it's like spending a lot of time on a specific page that's answering a question or a query that gets asked a lot in that space. Well, what we try to do is something called growth-driven design, which is a HubSpot affiliated methodology. And so that means that you don't necessarily need to rebuild the whole website, but you should be redesigning it always. So that's how we approach web design. So a full website design, I feel like is dependent upon the business's growth and strategies. So like most businesses aren't going to be keeping the same business development strategies for more than 3 or 4 years max. If they're trying to grow, they should be strategically changing their target audience. Their target audiences are probably evolving. And so a website should really be, redesigned or overhauled within, the 3 to 5 year span, just mostly because of the economics of being in business and that being your front office and what your first impression is. And so from like a search results perspective, your competition is going to keep updating and you don't want to be left behind either. Another good reason is that technology is always changing and how people are using websites is changing dramatically, especially with the AI coming into play and people are experiencing, more chat conversational experiences on the internet where people were experiencing websites. Now they're experiencing more personalized search results, which means websites are going to be changing. But that's the nature of tech. And so I think with business strategy and technology always evolving, that the website needs to be updated regularly and more than likely redesigned 3 to 5 years. Yeah, top trends for websites. Well, obviously, mobile has been at the forefront the past 5 years. I think now it's kind of demanded. Like, it's not something you can leave behind. But I think outside of the mobile user experience for website and obviously making sure they're responsive, now it's a lot about the scroll. So we use a lot of tools around heat mapping and seeing how people are utilizing your website from a user experience perspective. And those tools kind of teach us, especially in different markets, how people are utilizing the website, because there really isn't a general best website practice for all sectors. Obviously, there's best experiences for builders. And my experience for builders and in the building space, a lot of it has to do with visuals and also like making sure the information that you want first is above the fold, because more and more people are experiencing websites on their phone. So they're less likely to scroll all the way down to the end of the page. So now it's a lot of optimizing for scrollability. Also, their site speed has always been really important, but it's become an even more important piece of a website. And that has a lot to do with the design. So I think there used to be trends around like really big images and really large websites. And that doesn't work really well for site speed. So we do a lot of optimization around image size in order to help site speed to be the fastest it can, because it's also a competitive edge. You could just imagine, like in the building space, no one has time for a site to load, just like on the user experience side. If it loads slower than the site next to it, probably not going to get that business. No, there's definitely still some tactics within traditional SEO that are super valuable. I would say the full traditional stack of SEO, there's definitely some things that I've thrown out the window at this point that don't really work anymore. The things that we don't do anymore are buying links. Obviously, that's been out of date. You'd be surprised how many people still do that. But link earning is what we recommend. And it's still a big part of the algorithm to have a really high domain authority, which is coming from like very high value links like .gov, .edu, national news recognition. So PR is still a big part of SEO. I just think now, especially with AI and like the credibility of the website being even more of a differentiator in this space, that is still a very big algorithm factor. So we still do a lot of digital PR for SEO efforts. In regards to content, I would say content strategy has dramatically changed from an SEO lens. There was an algorithm a few years back called RankBrain, and it was a natural language processing algorithm. And that was kind of the start of what's happening now with AI, which is essentially, it's not just around context. Now it's around personalized context. So it's almost like, the traditional tactics are still there, but now they're more highlighted in the personalized and contextual lens. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm writing a blog on it now, and we'll start integrating it into our SEO services. I'm going to be leaning into the Magi. So Magi project is Google's AI, because they have the biggest user base. So I don't really see a reason to spend any time on anybody else. Well, I think there's a lot of natural overlap, actually, the more I learn about it. One being on the technical side, accessibility and sustainability are very aligned, and that a carbon footprint of a website has a lot to do with how fast it is and how heavy it is. So with a carbon footprint actually has a lot to do with user experience as well. So there's a lot of natural overlap. Things we're already doing are supporting, offsetting carbon from websites. And that has a lot to do with like design tactics. Our team is taking like a green design course, and we're getting certified as like a green website design agency. So that is really overlapped with those initiatives already. And then from a sustainability perspective, to like leaning into helping brands in the builder space become more aware of how important sustainability is for company culture. Um, I mean, I think business development, honestly, people are really interested in how people are making decisions and their impact on the planet. So I think that in my experience of working with builders and those that are putting sustainability first are growing. So I think it is like a very beneficial tactic to highlight and focus on marketing dollars.